Hello everyone, this is Daniel from fitnessblender.com, and today we're going to be doing an active lower body stretch. Now, this is actually going to be probably the most intense stretch routine you do. We're using our muscles to help assist get into that stretch, so it's going to actually be a little bit of a workout as well, but it's still going to be nice and relaxing. So the only thing you need for this is an optional exercise mat if you're going to be doing it on a hard surface. Otherwise, if you're doing it on carpet or something like that, you should be fine. With that said, let's go ahead and get started with the stretch routine. All right, everyone, before we jump into this first stretch, there are two different ways you can go through and do this. You can do it a passive stretching style, which is basically letting gravity kind of pull yourself over, just kind of slightly contracting down towards whatever you're trying to stretch, whether it's a toe touch or whatever we have. That's a nice passive way of doing this. It's going to leave you feeling a lot more relaxed by the time you're done with this, so feel free to do it that way. If you want to do the active stretching along with me, the goal is to start off with a little bit of a contraction and then increase that contraction as you go through, as that timer elapses. So as you get closer and closer to the full 30 seconds, you're trying to contract harder and harder and harder. So what we're trying to do here is contract the opposite direction of what we're trying to stretch. So if we're trying to stretch your hamstring, we're going to be contracting our hip flexors, our abs, our quadriceps, and our shins to stretch ourselves down onto those toes as far as we can go comfortably. And that's the goal here, is you want a little bit of discomfort, but not pain. So stretch yourself into or pull yourself into that stretch with your muscles as best you can without going into a full painful situation or a full stretch that's going to cause pain. Just a little bit of discomfort. Okay. If you need a little bit more explanation, feel free to read the description. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get started. Okay. Our first exercise is going to be just a regular toe touch with a flat back. So what I want you to do is make sure that back stays perfectly flat. Again, contract your hip flexors, not so much your abs on this one because you're trying to keep a flat back, your quadriceps and your shins. Flex those toes back towards you, pull yourself forward, just hold it right there. As long as you can feel that stretch in your hamstrings, you're doing what you need to do, okay? So just contract there, a light contraction to start off with, and then you're just going to kind of push into it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And let that relax. We're going to do the same thing again, but this time with a rounded back. All right, get ready. Go ahead and round that back forward and contract just a little bit at first. And then you're just going to kind of slowly contract more and more and more. Like I said at the beginning, make sure that you are getting to a point of discomfort, but not to a point of pain. So you want to have a little bit of an uncomfortable stretch feeling, but not a painful stretch feeling. Keep pushing into it, contract harder. Flex those toes back towards you. You should feel it jump all the way back through this calf, knee, and hamstring. And let it relax. All right, we're going to stay in the same exact position. This time we're going to do a pronation of those toes. So you're actually going to kind of roll your toes in, so you're kind of lead with your toe, your big toe pulling back. So flex that big toe back. Same thing, contract your quadriceps, contract your hip flexors, stretch down on there as far as you can. If you can't touch those toes, don't worry about it. It's not about how far you can go, it's about how much of a contraction you can get or how much of a stretch you can feel. So as long as you're feeling a good stretch, you're doing it right. Contract harder, pull yourself down, round that back. Keep those legs nice and straight. Let it relax. Do the same thing again. This time you're pulling back from your pinky toe. So that smallest toe, pull back from there. So you're actually kind of like flexing those toes out. So this is called supination. You're going to flex down again. You should feel very, very different areas of your hamstrings and even into your calves getting tight on these as you change the orientation of those feet. Again, same thing. Contract a little bit and push into it more and more and more, contracting harder and harder and harder as you do this. Remember, get that pinky toe pulled back. Ouch. That's a good stretch. And let that relax. All right, next one is going to be an inside thigh. So one leg out. We're going to use an outside thigh to pull that leg open. So just squeeze it out as hard as you can. pushing against yourself. You want to feel that muscle on the inside of that thigh contracting or stretching, but contracting the outside like you're trying to pull that leg open. You can actually kind of brace yourself against that other leg to help as like a anchor to help push against, to get that leverage to pull that leg open. And let it relax. And do the same thing on the other side. And open that leg up. Stretch it out. Or keep that leg contracted. Constantly getting a little bit more intense as every second ticks past. Like I said, this is probably going to be the sweatiest stretch routine you've ever done, because this is actually going to get those muscles a little bit tired by the time you're done if you're doing the active version. And let that one relax. All right, we're doing a wide toe touch next, so both those feet out wider than shoulder width apart. You can go straight down into the center. Again, contract abs, hip flexors, quadriceps, shins. Stretching yourself down. No holding on to anything or helping with a pull from your upper body. This is all just those antagonistic muscles of the ones you're trying to stretch. Flex those toes back, contract those thighs. Around that back, tuck that chin even. And let it relax. All right, we'll do a quad stretch next. So we're going to lay flat on your stomach. We're going to do just the left leg first. Pull that heel to your butt as tight as you can. Get a nice tight contraction. Then once you feel like you've got a pretty good tight squeeze there, I want you to try to lift your knee off the ground. So squeeze while keeping that heel pulled in nice and tight. You might feel it jump into that hamstring, like you're going to get a cramp at that hamstring. If you do, just kind of let it release just a little bit as far as how tight you're squeezing that heel in. But you should feel a good stretch through that front of your thigh on this one. And let that relax. We're going to do the same exact thing on the other side. Pull that heel in, a little bit of a squeeze. Hold it right there for just a second. And then whenever you're ready, pull that knee up off the ground as best you can. If you can't get your knee off the ground, that's okay. As long as you are trying to lift it, as long as you're contracting those muscles, that is all you're shooting for, okay? And then squeeze it in, pull that knee up as high as possible while trying to get that heel in as close to your butt as possible. And let that relax. All right, we're going to do a calf stretch next. So we'll just do this one leg at a time, sitting back up. I want you to focus on just one foot. You're just going to pull that toe in as tightly as you possibly can. So no hamstring, you're not leaning forward over that leg. You're just focusing on contracting that shin. You should feel that calf start to stretch from this. Just pull it in as tightly as you possibly can. Just hold it there. Remember, as every second ticks by, try to contract a little harder, a little harder, a little harder. By the time you're towards the end of that 30 seconds, you should be getting as close to a full, mean contraction as you can, as long as it's still comfortable, as long as you're not feeling a painful stretch. Flex those toes in again on the other side. Just hold it. Flex it in nice and tight. Keep pulling and let it relax. All right, we're going to go onto your knees real quick. Pull one foot forward up by your hand and outside of your shoulder. You're going to lean forward, drop those hips down. And then what I want you to do, your leg's not going to move, don't expect it to, but I want you to feel like you're going to try to lift this leg, this foot off the ground. So as best you can, lift it up. It's just the contraction you're looking for. It's not necessarily actual movement. So just pull it up, still trying to push this hip down towards the ground. Let that relax. Do the same thing on the other side. So bring that foot up on the other side. Drop through as far as is comfortable. And try to lift that leg off the ground. Not going to move. Don't expect it to, like I said before. But just contract as hard as you possibly can. Through that hip flexor. This is going to feel weird because you're not really moving anything, but just keep it contracted. And let that relax. All right, we're doing an IT band stretch next. So what I want you to do, if you've got pretty tight obliques and IT band, then you're just going to stay on your elbow if you're relatively flexible, up on your hip. And you're going to flex up as high as you can, get a good stretch through here. And then I want you to just actually lift, or as best you can, lift this leg off of the ground. Just squeeze it up, pinch as tightly as you can while still pushing your shoulders across. Let it relax. Same thing on the other side. So mimic whatever you did on the other side, either on that elbow or full extension. Lift that leg once you get to that stretch. Try to keep those hips stacked. You don't want to let your hips roll back. So keep those hips stacked. Lift that leg as hard as you can. Tight, tight squeeze. Keep constantly pushing that shoulder up so you're trying to feel like you're actually folding in half at your waist and at that hip. Oh, and let that relax. All right, back up onto your tailbone. You're gonna kick one foot out to the side. We do these a lot, but we're gonna do these in a little different way. So again, chest open to start off with, lean straight over, and you're gonna try to contract shin, quadricep, hip flexor. Pull it up off the ground. It's not gonna move, but act like you're trying to pull it up off the ground or pull your body down over top of that leg as best you can. Start light, increase as the seconds tick past. Let it relax, keep that same leg out. This time we're going to turn our shoulders towards it and tip straight forward with our chest facing down. Down. Contract, flex those toes back for your chin. Contract that quadricep, straightening that leg out as straight as you can. Contract those hip flexors, pulling yourself forward, and those abs, pulling those shoulders down. That relax. We're going to do a pigeon pose next, so you're just going to stretch that leg back out behind you, lean off to the one you had bent. And just lay yourself down. Feel like you're trying to actually pull your knee, the one you're laying on top of, up towards your chest. It's not going to move. Don't expect it to. Act like you're trying to pull it up. Try to get it off of that ground. Same thing on the other side. So kick that other leg out. Start with your chest open. Lean across. Hands over top. And contract. Shin, quadricep, hip flexor. Bend it over as far as it's comfortable. Remember, going to a point of discomfort but not pain. Relax. Same thing. Turn that chest out. Get ready and start. Lean it forward. Contract that shin, quadricep, hip flexor, abs. And then you want to toy with it a little bit, kind of roll that ankle back and forth. You're going to feel it jump all over the place to that calf and knee, back of that knee. Contract, just breathing normally. Since you're doing a solid contraction, you're going to have to breathe through it. Don't hold your breath. All right, so that is pigeon pose next. All right, laying out flat on that leg. Again, it's not going to move, don't expect it to, but try to pull that knee up off the ground. Contract everything as tightly as you can. Let that relax. All right, back up. We're going to keep your, right leg out, left leg over top. We're going to rotate to the left. So no touching your legs. You're going to use just musculature to do this. Twist as far as you can, keeping that back perfectly straight up and down, no rounding forward. Rotate, increasing that stretch as you go. Focusing on those core muscles, basically abs, obliques, lower back. Rotating that torso as best you can, getting those transverse obliques, or transverse abdominis, I should say. And let that relax and do the same thing off to the other side. So left leg out this time, right leg over top. And we're going to rotate towards the right. Rotate. Using, again, just your musculature through your abdomen to get that rotation as hard as you possibly can, rotating those shoulders off as much as you possibly can. Straighten that back, no rounding forward. Relax. All right, now you're going to bring those feet together. Doing a butterfly stretch. Back perfectly flat, straight up and down. Use the muscles to the outside of your thighs to pull those knees down to the ground as hard as you possibly can. You want to feel like you're pushing those knees down to almost lift your butt up off the ground. Not going to happen, but that's the intent. That's what you want to feel like you're trying to do. Tight, tight squeeze, press it down. Let it relax, scoot those feet out a little bit further in front of you. We're going to do a deep hip socket stretch. So just about a little more than a foot away from that crotch, and then you're going to just tip forward. Again, use your musculature through those hip flexors especially to pull yourself over. You're going to be keeping your back flat for this one. You might notice that as a few seconds tick by, it kind of loosens up a little bit and you're able to get a lot more flex out of it. Just go into it, get that contraction up again. All right, let that relax. All right, we're doing a seated toe touch next. This one is just going to be toes laying out to the side. And you're going to stretch straight down, just a regular toe touch. You can round that back if you want to, or keep it flat, whichever you prefer. Again, you're flexing those quadriceps and hip flexors to pull yourself down. But this time, like I said, just toes pointing out. You should feel this in a pretty different spot through that hamstring. Still flexing those toes back towards you. Let it relax. All right, this one is the killer for me. We'll see if it is for you. You're going to rock those toes in as close together as you possibly can. And then flex them back and down towards those toes. Like, my range of motion just stops when I turn those toes in. So this is a great example of just a little bit of a different rotation on those hip sockets. Same thing for shoulders, ankles, anything, any joint you have. It's just a little bit of a different rotation on it is going to drastically change your overall amount of flexibility. So you want to make sure you're checking all of those different positions and make sure they're roughly as equal as you can get them. And let that relax. All right, toes in. We're doing a lying torso twist. So lay flat on your back. We're going to bring your left leg up and across, and you're going to keep your shoulders flat against the ground, knee bent, and try to press that knee into the ground without pulling that other shoulder up off the ground, that opposite shoulder. So press it in, or push it down as tightly as you possibly can. So that left shoulder should be pinned against the ground right now, trying to get that left knee down towards the ground by contracting those core muscles and pushing it across. All right, we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Left leg out straight, right leg bent. Right shoulder is going to stay pinned to the ground this time. Rotate across. Press that right knee down towards the ground as best you can. Keep that right shoulder pinned against the ground. Really contract those muscles hard. Squeezing those muscles, trying to press that knee down. Just contract it. Keep those lungs open, breathing normally, no holding your breath. Let it relax. All right, we've got deep glute stretch next. Now I know you've seen this one before where you cross over and pull in. We're just going to use musculature for this, so rotate that leg on your own, pull it in on your own. So no extra help from pulling in with those arms or that other leg. Just hold it right there, squeeze it in. Just get it in as close to your body as you can while maintaining that rotation. This is going to be a weird one, but do the best you can. Let that relax. Same thing on the other side. Start with that leg rotated in, and we're just going to contract it in. And begin. Pull it in as tightly as you can. Keep that leg rotated. It's going to try to start opening up on you. The knee's going to try to come in more than ankle, but try to keep it rotated. And let it relax. All right, one more exercise. We're doing a Cobra next. Laying flat down on your back, or on your stomach, excuse me. You're going to arch your back up, and then those legs, and then very slowly press into the mat with your arms, continuing to contract that lower back. Basically trying to do a back bow and a Cobra at the same time. Trying to get as much range of motion out of it as you can. Trying to keep those legs off the ground. And let it relax. All right, my timer says we're done, so it looks like I didn't miss any of those exercises, which is good because there was a lot of them. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know I did. I love getting a good stretch routine in and feeling like I got a good workout in at the same time. This isn't a hard-hitting, like high-intensity interval training routine, but for a flexibility routine, hey, I'll take it. So I hope you guys liked it. I know I did. Leave a comment in the section. Comment on what you thought in the comment section below. I'll try to get that out here in one of these seconds. Other than that, this workout is complete. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye.